Bubble has an AI app builder, and in this video, we're going to test it and see how it compares to tools like Base44 and Lovable. Now, I've been using Bubble for more than 3 years to build fully functional web apps from scratch without writing code. It's one of the most powerful no-code tools. It integrates a database, logic, everything in one. It can integrate APIs. I'm a really big fan of Bubble. But with these new AI app builders like Base44 and Lovable, a lot of people are asking, is it still worth using Bubble? And is Bubble building the AI features that make people really love using these new tools? So while I still do use Bubble for complex projects, I am really curious to see how their AI app building feature works. So we're going to do it together. The prompt we're going to use is a discovery app for food lovers to find nearby restaurants and read reviews. So it's a little bit like Yelp. It's going to have a modern design with warm colors and food photography. Let's go ahead and send this off. And I'm going to pause the video so you don't have to wait while it's generating. So what comes next is Bubble gives us this screen and it allows us to edit our app blueprint. So it's coming up with the key features: search restaurants, restaurant ratings, user reviews, user authentication, save favorite restaurants, and view restaurant details. And if you want, you can refine the app blueprint. So what I'm going to do is say, make sure user reviews and include photos the user uploads. So let's go ahead and add that. And then Bubble in the backend will analyze the input and update our app blueprint. And just like that, our app blueprint is updated and now user reviews with photos is included in the key features. So it's nice that it was able to do that before we start actually building out the app. So let's click generate. And Bubble says it's going to take about 5 to 7 minutes to generate this version of our app. Now, I do think this is the future of where AI app building is going. Having this ability to have the AI generation do the things to get yourself up and running really quickly, but then also having full control, visual control over all of the logic, over everything that's happening. So it's not a black box, because when I build something in Cursor, I don't necessarily know exactly what's happening in the code if I can't understand it. So you do have to trust your AI to translate that code into English. Now, what Bubble is able to do is translate that code into a visual language where you can view the workflows and see what it looks like. So let's pause the video and I'll come back once we have something to look at. And here we are in the MVP that it created. So I'm going to walk through what it created. I'm going to explain both if you are familiar with Bubble and also if you're not familiar, to talk about the dashboard and what it builds, so you understand if this is something that's for you. So right now, Bubble will generate the first version of the app. It's not like Base44 or Lovable, where you have a sidebar to keep asking for updates. I'm hoping that this is something that Bubble creates in the future, because I think that would be really powerful. But right now, that isn't something it can do. But the fact that it can create the first version makes me think that's something it will be able to do in the future. But this is really nice, because if you're just starting from scratch in Bubble from a blank page, it actually does take a lot of time to build out everything that you see here. Like even just the sign up login that I see, it has it all branded. Like this takes a lot of time in Bubble because you have to do it manually. There are certain like ways to have templates or plugins to help, but generally this takes a long time. So like as someone who's built in Bubble a lot and builds out these types of MVPs with authentication, database, everything, like this could save me like 3 hours of work and it took 5 minutes. So just getting that initial setup is really helpful. Let's start with the database. So we can see it created the initial version of our database. It created a favorite, a restaurant, and a review. And we can see it did include that image that we asked for. If you're used to Lovable, they have Supabase. If you're thinking of Base44, they have the database integrated. Bubble has the database integrated. So it's all part of the same platform. The downside of that is you can't export the database, but it is really easy to get set up and use. And in my experience, it works really well. So you also can use Bubble AI to generate more of the database. So basically, if you want to build out an additional feature and you're not as familiar with how to set up databases, Bubble can do this. They even have this ability to generate privacy rules, which actually is really helpful with databases, because it's very common when people are building with Bubble to not know to set up these privacy rules, which will then, for example, potentially expose all the data to anyone who wants it, who knows how to access that. So that's a really nice feature. So Bubble is starting to incorporate these AI features inside of their builder as well. Why don't we start on the design tab and then talk about some of the logic? So if we go to this search button and we click edit workflow, yeah, it created all of these workflows for us, which would have taken a lot of time. So it's doing this by itself. Really cool that it was able to do that. Of course, you do need to understand how Bubble works. We do have a course on No Code MBA if you want to learn about that. But if we click on search and edit, we can see all of the different workflows here. This is the workflow tab. And we also can test it out, which I'll do in a second. But then also we see featured restaurants. So it just built out everything, all the repeating groups, the filters. Okay, that's really great. Now, if we go into the database and we go to app data, we can also see that there are test users, there are test restaurants, reviews, and users. So basically, it added in dummy data, which I think is also really nice. So that way we can click preview and see what it looks like with live data. So we're going to open this up. We can see it's showing us restaurants. Of course, there's only a few featured restaurants right now, but let's search for cuisine. Looks like it did just accidentally do like white text over a like light input, but so that would be something to easily change. But let's do all cuisines, search restaurants by name. So I could say taqueria because I know there's a restaurant with that here. Let's search and there you go. So that's showing up correctly. And I wonder if I leave that blank, but I put it to like Mexican, will that work? Yes. And now it's showing all the Mexican restaurants. Japanese. Okay, cool. And then if I click on view details, okay, so that's where it looks like it has not built out more yet. So I can't click on view details. So just to confirm, let's go to view details and you can see, yes, it's add workflow instead of edit, which means that it hasn't been created yet. So it didn't create the details of the restaurant like page, like that doesn't exist. It does have, it looks like a favorites page that I created. It created the restaurant detail page, although it looks like it's empty for the restaurant details. So that would be like the page that you would go to for more details, which it hasn't built out yet. There's a restaurants list that it built out, a user reviews pop-up, which you can click here to see, to leave a review. So it built in some of this logic. And if we go to the workflow, we can see that it has, if we click submit review, edit workflow, it has the create a new review. And so it did a lot of these things for us. Now, if you are experienced with Bubble, this is a really great shortcut when you're getting started with an app. If you're new to Bubble, you're going to probably get stuck unless you are willing to put in a little bit more effort to learn more about Bubble. So in that case, what I would love to have them do is have like a sidebar where I could say, hey, like I want to add the view details page, nothing happens. Can we make it so we view details of the restaurant when the user clicks it, the same way we would do at Base44, for example, and then it would add that. So that's what I would love to see as the next step. I hope that they're working on this and they're able to do this soon because that would be really awesome. Overview, I'm really impressed with the first generation that it built out all the workflows. I think it saves a lot of time if you're just building an app in Bubble, especially if you already understand how to keep building with it. Now, what I hope they do is add in more AI features so that it can keep building without you having to know Bubble yourself. So I hope that this was helpful. Leave a comment below. Let me know what you think of this tool, if it's something that you would use yourself. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to get more free content like this, and we'll see you in the next video.